And here we are in part two of our series. Thank you for being with us again in part two. And as we know, it's episode 5 and episode 4 that we are covering the why of a PA regarding purpose and the why of a PA as it becomes and should be acknowledged as a critical role. But first, we have to ask, what is purpose? For example, do you know your purpose within your family environment? What is your purpose as a spouse, as a mother, as a daughter, as a son, as a brother? What purpose does your family see you as fulfilling? What is your purpose in life? I'm not asking in terms of what is your role. Role is very different from purpose. And so, should we talk of purpose when we talk about PAs? There's a lot of talk about the role of the PA, about the tasks of the PA, how PAs should move to an agile mindset. In other words, the mindset of a PA, role, tasks, mindset. But in the end, what if we go much, much deeper than that and actually ask, why are there PAs? Not just in terms of what they do, but what is their purpose, their ultimate, profound purpose. If we look back to the pandemic in 2020, and obviously the huge impact artificial intelligence has brought to our world, we know that there is a lot of uncertainty now. This new focus and action that we are all taking has resulted in all people at work needing to find a purpose in what they do. So what does purpose actually mean? In a nutshell, purpose is the reason why something is done or something exists. With people, purpose defines intentions and is a quest that many look for throughout their life. It gives people a reason for what they do, and it gives people a reason to be alive. Although a need for purpose and meaning are an inherent part of the human experience, it has become far more pronounced with millennials and Gen Z, the purpose generations. A study has shown that purposeful employees are 4 times more engaged, and engaged employees bring a wealth of benefits to the workplace. Engaged employees are not 9-to-5ers. They actually feel importance in what they do in terms of its impact on a lot of others around them. Purpose and its important reasons for PAs. Let's look at what purpose achieves. It achieves connection. As human beings, we are wired to connect, and part of purpose is serving others or a greater good. It achieves engagement, as we've just said. Work that feels purposeful translates into elevated levels of engagement, which is a pillar of strength for PAs and EAs in terms of communication with others. It achieves resilience. PAs and EAs who feel that what they do matters are also likely to be more resilient, and this enhances their mental and emotional well-being, which is so important for PAs and EAs as they face so many challenges and face so many deadlines and are required to be everywhere in helping others all of the time in a way. So being resilient is critical. And in order to be resilient, you have to be happy in what you do. You have to find meaning, a deeper meaning in what you do. And you're not just there doing tasks. The issue of job crafting, this is going to become more and more important. Job crafting is when you can change cognitive tasks and relation boundaries to shape the interactions and relationships with others at work. In other words, when you can determine how you relate with others and what work actually means to them and can serve as a path to purpose. Let's listen to interviews. Julie Iverson speaks with Bonnie Lowe-Kramen from the USA and with Wade Walker from Australia on the topic of purpose and job crafting.
Hi, everyone. My name is Julie Iverson. I am currently the executive assistant to our MD, Mr. Paul Grotter, in WSP in Africa, in South Africa as well. I'm also a member in PAFSA Association and winner of South Africa's Peer of the Year 2020. I am excited today to introduce you to my mentor, Bonnie Lowe-Kramen. She's a global trainer, CEO, TEDx speaker, and author at Ultimate Assistant Training and Consulting. Bonnie's aim is to bridge the gaps between executives and assistants. Bonnie, thank you so much for your time and for being my mentor and assisting me on this journey with my project, The Purpose of an EAPA in These Current Times. Let's dive into, thank you. Let's dive into some interview questions so that you can share your knowledge on the subject, which you have tremendous experience on. So, question number 1. Is the work of a PA today purposeful work?
The work of a PA in 2022 in our modern workplace is most definitely purposeful. We are coming off of this global pandemic, which has proven, it has shown the gaps in the workplace. And just think about how the world talks about PAs. Yeah. They're the backbone of the company, the right arms to managers, the eyes, the ears, the lifeblood. I mean, pretty important body parts. So yes, the work is most definitely purposeful and getting more complicated as the months go by.
True. I see it in our daily lives as an EA.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that. Question number 2, how can PAs job craft?
Yeah, it's complicated. It is very important for PAs in 2022 to keep their saw sharp. I don't know if you know that expression, to keep your skills as up to date as possible, because that will make the difference between staying employed and not being employed. It is about taking an honest look at your skills and your abilities and to take workshops, to take certifications and classes that will help fill out your skill set and your CV/resume so that you're able to hit the ground running in your work every single day.
True, I've seen that as well, especially through the pandemic where we had to keep abreast with digital technology that has come up. And also, I noticed project management as well. So I'm busy with that certification as well.
Right. And ideally, companies are paying for those classes. And in fact, we're seeing a trend in the United States that as part of compensation packages, that they're building in annual training budgets for, in addition to salary and vacation, et cetera. So it is becoming more of a norm.
Yes. And I think it's good. It's actually good for us as EAs and PAs to keep
it's vital.
It's vital. Thank you. How do PAs create value for their organization?
The most important number one way PAs create value in companies is the saving of time, because we all know time equals money. And the work of a PA is uniquely qualified to do certain things. You know, he is a champion at calendaring and at creating documents and PowerPoint decks. And there are certain things that PAs are exceptional at doing. And the trick is to take things off executives' plates that assistants are fully capable of doing, and in so doing, saving time, because it's not a mystery if you calculate people's hourly salaries, if you can, through the technology classes that you've taken,
Sure.
and you find shortcuts and you find easier way to do things, that's a no-brainer to save time, and that's how you bring value. But it's not only that. It's not only what a PA does. It's not what you do all the 100% of the time. It's what you know and who you know. It is the network that makes assistance invaluable to the organization. If only leaders would tap into that. That's a complaint globally. Assistants globally, in general, feel under leveraged and underutilized. Well, the smartest leaders out there are tapping into those talents and skills.
That's great, Bonnie. I've noticed, even, I'm new in the current at WSP, and I've noticed with my managing director, he's already tapping into the resources, because I'm resourceful and I brought on board, my network of contacts.
Very smart of him or her.
Yeah, so he already told me, which was quite a positive for me, and I know it's been a month here, and it's a positive to say that, Jules, thanks for, bringing on these networking of yours, which you've gained over the years, and that's great to hear. It's good, positive feedback.
And keep it going. I mean, it's only the beginning. So it's in general, PAs have so much more abilities than they're being asked to do. And so therefore, people aren't mind readers. I am a big advocate that assistants need to share with their executives and with HR what they're capable of doing, what they're interested in doing, etc.
True. Thank you, Bonnie. Our fourth question: in the age of purpose, what can make PAs feel more connected and get more work-life meaning?
Yeah. The modern workplace is a different ballgame than it was prior to March of 2020. And so my best suggestion is for every PA out there, for every working person really, to take a fresh look at their work, at what they're doing, how they're doing it, where they're doing it, and to be honest about how satisfied you are with it right now at this moment in time. In the US, we have an expression, YOLO. It's a YOLO economy. YOLO, Y-O-L-O, you only live once. And so we're seeing people responding to the ability to live anywhere, work from anywhere, and it's a whole, the rules are different now. And so the ability to live where we want, have the schedule we want, be surrounded with the people we want. Certainly, if anybody knows me, they know I write a lot about workplace bullying and sexual harassment and the toxic behaviors that exist globally in the workplace. So if PAs are finding themselves in that kind of situation, I'm sure the stress level is very high. And if it is, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the most, if it's a 6 or above on any consistent basis, my suggestion would be to start problem solving with mentors and people you trust about how to make a change, maybe within your company or even outside of the company.
Yeah, true. I've also noticed we have something like, there's a website where you can go in and you can actually anonymously, say what you're feeling, and if you have any, if you have anything that's limiting you kind of in your role. So I think that's great, for companies to have these type of platforms for any staff and employee to be able to speak, and I also think it's up to the staff to speak out, otherwise the organizations are also not going to know.
Yeah. Honestly, the shame will be if we get to a year from now in 2023 and we're still wrestling with some of the same problems. Because
Yes.
right now, there has never been a better time to address what's broken. There are many
Yes.
things in our workplace that are broken, but leaders are very open to some new ideas because so much has changed. So
True.
might as well consider everything that will encourage retention, employee satisfaction. We know mental health issues are a problem.
Yes.
So your leaders are open to hearing from staff. And so please, if you're listening to this,
Yes.
listen to Jules and me and do find a way to speak up to your leaders about what you see, because assistants see and hear everything.
Yes.
I want you to be the CEO of You Incorporated. You are in charge of you. You may work for a company, but in the end, every single day, you have to look in the mirror and look at you and decide, how happy are you? How do you want this to go? And I want that responsibility and that power straight in your lap, not anybody else's.
Wow, that's amazing, Bonnie. Thank you so much for that. Lastly, to close off our interview, a purpose statement. What would you think a purpose statement would be?
Yeah, well, I actually took a crack at it. Do you want me to read it to you?
Yes, thank you.
Do you know that expression, take a crack at it? That's very American, right? Okay, I'm going to tell you what I wrote. I put my mind on it, and this is what I came up with. A PA is a respected subject matter expert who is hired to support the individual work of leaders and the vision of the company. When fully leveraged, their role is one of strategic partnership and viewed as part of the executive leadership team who holds a respected seat at the table.
Wow, that's amazing.
So now it's on tape. You got it. Feel free to use it.
Thank you. And something for me to ponder on as well. And everyone out there as well, thank you for listening. Thank you, Bonnie, for your time and for sharing your knowledge and your experience. We appreciate it. Thank you once again.
You're so welcome.
Hi, Wade. How are you? Good morning to our audience. Welcome to our PAFSA project topic interview with Wade Walker. Wade Walker is the National President of the Australian Institute of Office Professionals and a member of the Australian First Responder Foundation. How are you this morning? Can you give us a little background about yourself, Wade?
Sure, I'm good, thank you today, Julie. So a little bit about me. I've been in the administration industry for around 25 years, and I've worked in all level positions from starting as a trainee all the way up to I'm now an office manager and also the National President of Australian Institute of Office Professionals, which has me quite busy.
Cool. Wade, thank you for coming on board with on my journey with the PAFSA Association project. As you know, I'm Julie Iverson, winner of South Africa's PA of the Year 2020. And my project was this interview with my mentor who has guided me through my journey. And the topic is the purpose of an EAPA during our current times. Let's dive into some interview questions, Wade. I hope you're ready for me.
Definitely, Julie.
Okay, question number one. Is the work of a PA today purposeful work?
Look, I admit that the work of a PA has changed over the years from the 70s, 80s through to today. Today, the work of a PA is very purposeful because you are a business partner to your executive that you're supporting. And you are doing a vast range of tasks to keep that executive going.
True. That's actually absolutely true because I see it in my everyday, work, life, responsibilities, and the role has evolved. Great.
It has. So 20 years ago, you were probably doing the boss's banking and, looking after buying his wife Christmas presents and stuff
Yeah.
like that. These days, it's a lot more detailed.
True. So from that, how can PAs job craft?
So it's as much about selling yourself and selling your role to your bosses, making them know what you're capable of doing and how you can help them help themselves. So it's all about, partnering with them and making sure that they understand, well, I can do this for you. I can do that for you. And a position description is one thing, but you are crafting the role and you're crafting your next level of change or your next performance review with them to say, this is how we've evolved from what you originally wanted here.
Yes, amazing, because I notice EAs and PAs also assist HR, in whilst our roles are evolving. You come into the organization with a specific job description, but then you evolve and you actually job craft into your role.
You do, and it happens so much, and we as administrators don't appreciate how much we craft our roles ourselves.
True, that's very true. So how do PAs create value for their organization?
Well, as I mentioned, Julie, is you are the internal eyes and ears to the organisation for your executive. So you are adding a lot of value there. You are adding in, allowing your executive to focus on other things, but you're feeding in the little things that are happening that they need to know about, or you're feeding stuff off to other parts of the organisation. So you're protecting your executive, but you are also feeding. So you are like a linchpin. Like Liz Van Vliet says, you are a linchpin or a little hinge that swings big doors.
Wow, that's true. We so often, I know when I speak to colleagues, we so often think we're just doing behind the scenes, and we're not adding value. But actually, we're part of everything that happens in the organization. Every strategic decision that happens in the organization, it's all the support that has happened behind the scenes as well that actually contributes towards it. So that's very important. And
definitely,
we must not limit ourselves, and we need to actually tap more into assisting our business partners and our executives.
Exactly.
Okay, so for our fourth question, in the age of purpose, what can make PAs feel more connected and get more work-life meaning?
So the first thing you've got to do to get a more work-life balance and meaning is you have to focus on your executive's time management. So if you've got an executive that is terrible at time management, you will have a horrendous time trying to manage your own time because they expect you to be everywhere, do everything with them. Yes. So you manage to get them into a good work-life balance and a good meaningful work life. It means that for you, you're connected, you've done something for them, and you're also then getting your better work-life balance as well. So the thing about feeling connected is you want to be connected during office hours or during what you class as a normal business hour. You don't want to be connected 24/7 because you will burn yourself out.
Yes, no, that's absolutely true, Wade. Thank you for that. We so often fall short of that. I think when it comes to our weaknesses and strengths, it's one of those is kind of like a weakness, but actually a positive, because you kind of overwork yourself because you want to do everything. But we need to step back and look at time management, which is very, very important in our day-to-day PA life.
And generally, who is managing the executives' diaries?
Yes.
So it is normally us as administrators. And if we're managing their diary to make sure they have a life, it means we have a life too.
Exactly. Thank you for that. Our last question on the purpose. So this is not like a mission statement. Maybe you can just give us a line or two on what do you think a purpose statement would look like going forward, for a future EAPA?
I think that a big focus around the purpose statement is that we are a business partner.
Sure.
We are the soul and drive of an executive.
True.
So just two short sentences for the purpose of a role is you are the business partner to your executive, you assist them in making their life simple, but at the same time, streamlining processes to make the business run effectively.
Absolutely. That's amazing. It's something for all of us out there in our audience today to think about, professionals out there, admin professionals, myself included. And thank you, Wade. Thank you for your tremendous, the effort and the experience that you brought on board, the knowledge that you've shared. We really appreciate it. Thank you for this interview again. We looking forward to engaging further with you.
Thank you, Julie, and you have a lovely afternoon.
You too.
Hope you enjoyed that. And to put it simply, to do purposeful work, you need to feel that you are performing well. But fundamentally, that you as a person are making a difference. In other words, another PA fulfilling your role and doing your tasks would not achieve what you, for being woo and for having purpose, are making a difference to others. Employers need to know this. Employers need to take the time to help PAs and EAs thrive at work, which will fulfill their purpose that many feel that they want to get from their job. How many PAs feel that they serve a purpose which is higher than their role? It's a key question. A key factor to maximize on the value that these professionals bring to the employer, the executives. Once executives maximize on giving meaning to the PAs and their purpose, they will see a dramatic change in job satisfaction. In brief, what are the fundamental questions? When will the value of a PAEA be acknowledged as the professional who plays a significant role, not just a passive role, in contributing to the success of the company? How many people ask that question? Why are PAEA positions often ranked lower than other positions in the company? Tough question, but one needs to be answered truthfully. What can be done to make management aware that the PAEA is a critical person and not just there to fulfill a role? And this, of course, leads to episode 5 of this series. And we tackle the last episode of the series, episode 5, how and why the PA is a critical role, which, of course, is personally my very favorite topic, and that's why we left it for last, because it is a challenging topic as we broach the subject of the new PA, the new EA, whose purpose at the office is a critical one to ensure the success of people that the PA and EA is surrounded by. So it's no longer just a complementary role or a supplementary role, but has evolved to being a critical role. I hope you enjoyed this last and fantastic episode on the critical role of the new PA. So let's try to understand why we deem this to be a critical role. What does critical as opposed to supplementary or complementary role actually mean? What makes a role a critical role? Well, critical roles fall into two basic categories. People at work who are value creators, people who add value, create value, enhance value to the business. Obviously, they are critical. And then the value enablers, people who actually enable others to create value and add value. The value enablers are no less important than the value creators, because often the value creators rely partially or a lot on those who enable value. So the question now, the fundamental question is, does a PA or EA fall into the category of value creator or value enabler? What does it mean? Let's break this down. Let's look at value creators. Value creators means these people at work generate revenue. They lower the operating costs of a business or an enterprise or an association, and they increase capital efficiency. That makes a lot of sense. I'm sure you know a lot of people in your workplace or even in your family who create value for an enterprise, even for a professional organization or a church. All positions or designations that fall under value creators are those that are held accountable for all their decisions and actions. If you are held accountable for the decisions and your actions, then it is highly probable that you are an executive. And obviously, everything you do affects the well-being of others and the well-being of the enterprise. Therefore, you are held accountable. Now, let's look at value enablers. Let's break this down. Value enablers provide. They don't generate. If you look at the previous creators, they provide. What do they provide? They provide indispensable work that enables the value creator to perform at best. Let's highlight, underline the word indispensable. They are not dispensable people. The value creator cannot operate efficiently or effectively without the support and contribution of a value enabler. So, all positions, designations that fall under value enablers are those that are held responsible. Please note the difference between accountable and responsible. They are responsible for all their undertakings. Example, PAs and EAs. So it's very interesting. This concept is very interesting, this perspective that the value enabler is as critical as the value creator, which in the past wasn't so. Only value creators were seen as being critical to a business. But we have to understand, acknowledge, accept that those who provide indispensable support and actions, activities, tasks to ensure the value creator is effective is as critical. So note this, as a value creator, the role of the PA needs to have a higher ranking. The time has come for value creators, who are the decision makers in the business, to accept that the value enabler is critical. And if they accept, respect it. And how do you respect it? By acknowledge that they should have a higher ranking. How does purpose differ from actual task? How does purpose play out as enabling value? So this is basically summing up episode 4 and episode 5, linking purpose to enabling value, because that is a critical link. There is a direct link between fulfilling a purpose and enabling value. When understanding the purpose of a PAEA, it inevitably enhances the role as it is measured against the executive's efficiency and productivity. Example of task. Let's say scheduling and calendar manager. What is the purpose? The purpose is to ensure the executive is not lost in his or her own time. Notice how that would differ from defining a role. Defining a role would describe the task. It's not the purpose. The purpose is to protect the executive from getting lost in their own time capsule. The difference in defining it is dramatically different. Let's look at example of task. Planning and executing meetings. What is the purpose of the PA here? It is to ensure that the executive's time efficiency is maximized by having all involved in a meeting prepared and connected through the correct platforms, either hybrid, virtually, or in person. Again, it's to protect the executive by ensuring maximum efficiency. Again, it is not task defined, it's efficiency defined. Third example of a task, travel coordination. What is the purpose of a PA in this particular task? The purpose is to ensure that the executive's preferences, comfort, and safety are adhered to in order to result in a successful trip. Again, the purpose is to ensure a successful trip. Now, if we start looking at every task or the role of the PA and defining its purpose, you will see that the purpose is always aligned to ensuring the executive's maximum safety, efficiency, proficiency, and success. If we were in future to define PA's purpose in companies, HR would have a whole different mindset to the role of the PA. NB, let's make sure that the PAEA's purpose is seen as beyond, highlighted, underlined, beyond the skills base brought to the tasks. It requires human discernment and control of outcomes. Hence, the word responsibility is very important. Conclusion 1. Artificial intelligence can progressively take over the actioning of some of the tasks, but cannot, in the foreseeable future, take over the purpose of the role, which has the human element. This is absolutely a main critical point, that the purpose of the PA and the role of discernment and empathy cannot be replaced by AI. Conclusion 2. Artificial intelligence can progressively take over the actioning of some of the tasks, but cannot, at least in the foreseeable future, take over the purpose of the role, which has the human element of value enable. In other words, has the human element of discernment, empathy, and the human element of value enablement. So, I thank you. And I thank all those involved in this series. We hope that going into the future, the perception of the PAEA's purpose will receive the deserved recognition as a value enabler. And if we achieve that, we have achieved a significant progress in the recognition of the importance of the profession. From PAFSA in South Africa, I wish you the best. Go well, stay safe, stay committed, stay professional, and stay hopeful. Cheerio, Anna Maria.